Welcome to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation, welcome back to the podcast. For another week, we're going to explore how we can help you up-level your health from the conditions that's impacting virtually everybody on the planet. What is it? It's called the Low T Epidemic. And it's really having devastating effects on our overall well-being. So today I want to talk about what is testosterone? Where is it produced? How does it affect your health? What's causing the rapid decline? How is it affecting fertility rates? How it's affecting just everyday function for men and women. And then we're going to give you some solutions how to turn that around so you can start living your best life, which of course is your Triple P life, which is all about empowering your dreams, igniting your passion, and accelerating your prosperity. And let's face it, if you're not feeling good, if you don't have that oomph, that zest for life, how can you pursue your passions? How can you live your mission? It's virtually impossible. So you're not going to be able to create the kind of abundance and wealth that you desire to be able to provide for your family, to leave a legacy, to help communities and organizations by giving. Everything's tied to our mental and physical and spiritual well-being. So the more we can up-level that, the better chance we're going to have to be able to truly live this Triple P life. So over the last month or so, I've talked a lot about the effects of the American healthcare system and how I gave you all the statistics about a month ago about where we are, how we got here, how it's bankrupting our country, literally, it's not hyperbole. It's literally bankrupting our country. It's bankrupting individuals and families. In fact, healthcare cost is the number one cause of personal bankruptcy. And so as we've dived into this process, we've talked about metabolic disease. We talked about, maximizing cellular health. We talked about the environmental causes, and particularly, we spent a whole show on seed oils. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your feedback on that show. I know it was a little wonky, but you guys really appreciated kind of the specifics that we got into. And I also was really excited to hear how many of you shared that episode, either may have heard about seed oils and its impact on our health, or didn't really know to the level in which it was, but more importantly, what you can do to mitigate the effects of seed oil and how to identify it in the products that you're purchasing, and then how to avoid those products. Well, the next step in this process is testosterone. Many of you know, especially if you're a regular listener. If you are, thank you. Appreciate you guys. And if you're a new listener, welcome. Glad to have you. I recently opened my 19th business. Actually, it's been almost a year now. It's called Revitalizing Health and Hormones. So it's essentially a clinic designed for maximizing human health, vitality, and performance by assessing and optimizing nutrition, optimizing hormones, optimizing peptides, all the cutting edge technology in research right now, which is allowing people to regain their health like never before, and to do so in a manner which can be targeted specific to each individual's needs. That's what's amazing about it. There's no cookie cutter about this process. So as you can imagine, over, 9 months now, we've had incredible success, very blessed, very grateful for that. Incredible team, hardworking, very committed and dedicated to this mission. And we've been blessed to serve hundreds and hundreds of patients already. And the thing that we hear over and over is almost like a broken record. People coming in that have lost their zest for life. They just don't know why they just don't have that oomph anymore. They don't have the mental focus. They can't rest and recover. They don't sleep properly. They used to exercise. Maybe they exercise still now, but they don't get the same results. They don't have the same energy within that workout as they did maybe even just a few years ago. They've lost their intimacy with their partner, not because they don't love their partner, but they just don't have any desire. Basically, the signal from here to there is not working. And the frustration is at an epidemic level. Literally, people coming in depressed and on anxiety medication. And the percentage, we're actually doing some internal clinic data on the amount of people coming in on antidepressants. And I'm not going to give you a specific number yet. We're working through, but it's well over 70%. Men and women, by the way. So if that's not an epidemic, I don't know. And so as we look at this, the same theme we're seeing over and over and over. And what is it? It is a rapid decline in hormone optimization, in particular to start with, but not just unique to, is testosterone. So what is testosterone? So for those of you who don't know, it's a hormone, which is primarily associated with guys' health, right? But ladies, it's also essential for you as well. Now, it's classified as an androgen male sex hormone, which plays a crucial role in various functions in our body. And so androgen is basically growth. So where is testosterone produced? In men, it's produced in our testes. A small amount is also produced in our adrenal glands. And for women, ladies, it's produced in your ovaries. Also, a small amount is found in your adrenal glands. So we're going to get into this a little more in depth, but some of the causes of low T are aging, right? Yes. Does testosterone diminish as we age? It does. It's typical, but not normal, right? Classic distinction here. Typical, but not normal, because it still can be optimized as you age. Chronic stress. Anybody have chronic stress? Probably not. Not listening to this show, right? But let's face it, we're bombarded with stress all the time, a variety of different stresses. Big role because, as I mentioned, the adrenal glands, some testosterone is produced both in men and women in the adrenal glands. Well, the adrenal glands, right, produce adrenaline, which is part of the fight or flight cascade with adrenaline and cortisol. And here's the reality. Most of us are in a chronic state of fight or flight, which means our bodies are in a state of super high alertiveness where innately the fight or flight syndrome is to take us out of moments of imminent danger, not hours, days, weeks, months, or years. Here's the reality. When you test these critical stress hormones, they're elevated to virtually everyone all the time. They're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be short term and then come down. So this is leading to the low production of testosterone. We also know that poor diet and obesity is a major contributor. The lack of exercise. I talked about on the metabolic show that we actually get more physical activity than we did back 80 years ago, but specific exercise that causes muscles to maintain and, more importantly, even grow and to expand, that has diminished significantly. We know about environmental toxins. And of course, there are certain medical conditions such as diabetes and hypogonadism, which I'll talk about. So here's the thing. There is an emerging meta research that there is a significant decline in testosterone. Let's start with you guys, right? Guys, literally, figuratively, right? Not only due to aging, but it's also affecting young people. That's the other thing that's blown me away since we've opened this clinic. How many guys we're seeing in their 20s, 30s, and 40s with testosterone levels that were typically only seen in men in their 60s and 70s. You wonder why this younger generation has no ambition, right? It's chemical, right? I don't think it's a lack of desire, will, or want to. It's chemical. Now, these studies have reported, get this, that sperm counts among Western men have decreased approximately 50 to 60% just in the last 40 years. Why? What's different? Well, guys, it's not our genes because our genes have not changed one fraction of an iota in over 40,000 years. So we know it's not a genetic situation. It's an environmental and lifestyle. Now, the continued decline in testosterone level, guys, is going to significantly impact your long-term ability to have kids. Because the implications is that birth rates, quality of life, and overall well-being is dropping significantly. I don't have to tell you, you know. That's why you're listening to this show. But let's talk specifically about birth rates. Now we know, right, testosterone is essential for male fertility because what it does is it influences your sperm production and it gives you sex drive. Now, your low testosterone levels are going to lead to a reduced sperm count, but more importantly, and just as importantly, I should say, is motility. So those little guys swimming upstream, they just never reach the goalie because it's not strong enough. They run out of energy and they put out. So this contributes to male infertility. Now, currently, guys, infertility accounts for approximately 1/3 of all infertility cases. So men are now up to 1/3. I actually think those numbers may be higher. Now, if testosterone levels continue to decline, we're going to continue to see further increases in male infertility, which is going to lead to significantly lower birth rates, which is a whole nother issue that I discussed on a previous show. We're getting to the point where we're not even going to be at replacement level birth rates. So, well, Jay, so what? There's too many people in the world. Guys, that's a huge problem. Because as our generations age and pass on, if we don't have the young generation to come up and to fill in, by the way, any of you hope to get your Social Security? When Social Security first started, there was 62 workers for one retiree. Now it's 1 out of 2. This is why Social Security is going bankrupt, because our birth rates are dropping. There's less people paying into the system. It's part of the economic destruction that I talked about as far as what's happening here with all these health issues that we're dealing with. Now let's talk about quality of life. Testosterone, we know, plays a really crucial role in so many aspects of your health and well-being, right? So low levels have been associated with poor physical health. So one of the things you begin to notice is there's decreased lean muscle. Your strength decreases, your body fat goes up, and you have a reduced bone density, which leads to a higher risk of fracture, especially as you age. It affects your mental health. The greatest increase in recorded medical history of depression, anxiety has occurred over the last 6 years. Guess what low T affects? Mood. It increases depression rates, irritability, cognitive function, and increase in anxiety. See a correlation? I certainly do. And of course, energy levels. Always feeling fatigued, not having that oomph I talked about, decreased motivation. So all these things collectively are going to diminish your quality of life, which again is why I'm so excited what we're doing at Revitalizing Health and Hormones, because we see people coming in these states and we do the assessments. We develop a specific plan for each and every one, and the changes are simply amazing. I mean, I can't tell you how many people come in tears after their second or third or fourth treatment. Like, I didn't know I can feel this way again. I didn't know I can have this kind of passion and energy for life or feel alive again intimately with my partner. I mean, we may think these things are insignificant, but they're not. They all lead to a higher quality of life. And who doesn't want to live each and every day, no matter how many days you have on this planet, to its fullest? To me, again, that's pursuing your triple P life. So let's touch on the well-being aspect. Because beyond individual health, declining testosterone levels are having a broader societal implications. Again, we touched on the healthcare system issues on the first part of that 3-part series, because an increase in health-related issues due to low testosterone is straining the healthcare resources, necessitating more treatment and more intervention. And then there's the economic impact, because reduced productivity, because of just not having the energy, reduces output, right? Which affects health-related work absences and productivity and decreased workforce participation. In fact, workforce participation for males under 35 is the all-time low. Now, is it just due to low T? Probably not, but certainly a major contributor. And then there's the demographic shift. We talked about low birth rates, right? How's that affecting our aging population? How is that going to affect our economic growth? That is going to increase burden on the social support systems. So, addressing this is far more than the individual, it's collective for a society and for a healthy nation. So, let's talk about potential causes. And there's many, but three primary. Let's talk. The first one is environmental exposures. We know increased contact with endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs, those things that are found in plastics, the pesticides, the atrazines, we know interfere with hormonal function essential for reproduction. We are now finding these microplastics in our environment. There was a test done and it was found in 100% of placentas. It's major, really significant. And then there's the lifestyle factor, right? Modern habits, including bad nutrition, right? The ease of fast food, crappy food, processed food, a lack of exercise, and the exposure to these toxins that we talked about have been linked to an increased oxidative stress. Again, I talked about that at length on the metabolic show. So go back and listen to that. It was a few weeks ago. All these are contributing to a sperm and DNA damage and reducing fertility rates. And then talk about diet. There's been such a shift towards highly processed foods. We talked about how there's over 10,000 chemicals in our food, right? And the implication is causing a decline in sperm counts due to those endocrine disrupting chemicals, with estimates suggesting that this dietary transition may account up to 30% of all decline. Total, 50 to 60% over the last 40 years, as I addressed early on in the show. So let's address this on a deeper level. So despite growing evidence, routine screening for low testosterone in asymptomatic individuals is not universally practiced. The medical profession just does not look at this. Insurance coverage for testosterone replacement doesn't exist, except for very specific clinical issues or problems such as hypogonadism. Now, the variability in coverage can stem from differing interpretations of just the need of medical necessity. And then the insurance companies say, well, there's a long-term safety and efficacy issues. I'm going to address that here shortly because that is not true. The decline in testosterone levels and its impact on fertility and our overall well-being underscores the need for increased awareness. One of the reasons I'm doing this show, not only because I have a business that does this, right? But because as we see more and more people coming in, they're searching for this information because they can't get it anywhere else. And then when they find it out, like, how come I didn't know about this? How come my doctor didn't talk to me about this? Well, to be frank with you, they don't know because they weren't trained. So it's all about taking proactive measures to address this in more of a overall general public health concern. So determining the exact percentages of low T, cases that are attributed primarily to hypogonadism versus the environmental factors. Now, this is really challenging because there's a lot of overlapping causes, which limit the longitudinal data. So the available research provides insights to some prevalence and contributing factors and temporal trends, but it's just not been qualified enough to know specifically if one is affecting the other more so, or if it's just they're both impacted equally. Hopefully, more research will be done so we know. Let's address the prevalence and age-related changes. So there are some what is called normal testosterone declines with age. Research has shown that testosterone levels decrease approximately 1% to 2% a year starting at the age of 30. And about 40% of men over the age of 45 and 50% of the men over the age of 80 have hypogonadism. Now, that means, right, we're not producing the same amount of sperm production as we did before. Our testes are not working, so they shrink. Not a good case, guys. You know, I don't want to be known as I'll leave that there. It's just not a good thing. Now, let's go back to some of the environmental factors. I talked about toxicity in environment. One thing I didn't mention was obesity. Over 50% of obese males have shown to have low testosterone levels. We know that 42% of all adults are obese, right? And we know that 38% of the general population is overweight. So you put those two numbers together, it's nearly 8 out of 10 people in our country are either overweight or obese. So a major contributor. And we know that fact that until we get a handle on the obesity epidemic and start making the appropriate changes, the recommendations, the education, we're going to continue to see a rapid decline in testosterone levels. Okay, up to this point, I've been primarily speaking to the guys who are listening to the show. But now I want to address the women. And guys, you got to listen to this because it's going to make a lot of sense. Women are also impacted by the effect of low testosterone. Now, we know testosterone, why predominantly is recognized as a male hormone, it also plays really a very specific vital role for you women in your health because it includes maintaining your bone density, also maintains your muscle mass and mood regulation, and of course, sexual desire. So the key takeaway, ladies, is you need to routinely get screened for low testosterone. But the harsh reality is a vast majority of women are not getting this important assessment done. And there's several factors that contribute to this. You see, currently, there's no universally accepted guidelines for evaluating androgen, right? Which is a deficiency in women. That says testosterone in women is androgen. The primary reasons are the medical profession has failed to establish optimal ranges for women. Again, I'm not parsing words here, right? There's normal and optimal. Normal is average, okay? I don't know about you, but I don't like average or mediocrity. Optimal is when you're performing at your absolute best. So strive for optimal. So we know now normal and optimal ranges are vastly different. What the normals do is they keep you in a pattern of feeling overall basically crappy compared to the optimal ranges, which helps you really feel like you once did, that vibrant, energetic, fit, healthy, sexy lady. So just the facts, lady, no BS, right? It's what we see every single day. Now, identifying optimal testosterone ranges for you ladies is important because levels are going to fluctuate due to age. It's going to be affected by your menstrual cycle and other individual variabilities. This is why your primary care providers are really hesitant to diagnose or treat low testosterone because, as I mentioned, they weren't trained, right? So it's no fault of their own. Traditional medicine is still stuck in this old paradigm where the anti-aging vitalistic providers are leading the way in this revolutionary health and wellness model. So what about postmenopausal women, premenopausal and perimenopausal women and their symptoms? Because you fall in one of those three categories. Well, we know testosterone therapy has been primarily considered for postmenopausal women experiencing hypoactive sexual desire. Clinical studies suggest that testosterone treatment can be beneficial for this group and also other groups as well too. But again, if you go to your primary care provider, the lack of clear protocols and assessments to be able to recommend better treatment options for premenopausal, postmenopausal, or perimenopausal are quite limited. So let me differentiate between those three different phases. So premenopausal women, or this is really your productive years. This is the stage before any menopausal symptoms begin. This is where you have regular menstrual cycles and normal hormonal fluctuations. Your estrogen and progesterone levels stay at a pretty relative stable rate. And also your fertility is at your peak. Now, when we talk about perimenopause, this is the transition to menopause. Now, this phase begins, really, it can begin several years before menopause, and it usually starts with women in their 40s, but it can be early. We are seeing it earlier now. Your hormone levels, especially your estrogen and progesterone, This is when they begin to fluctuate and become unpredictable. The symptoms you may experience include irregular periods. You may start to get those nasty hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings. Yeah, guys, we know those. Hey, I'm not picking on you. We have them too, ladies. You also notice sleep disturbances and you can experience vaginal dryness. Um, your ovulation becomes irregular, even reducing your fertility rate as well, too. This stage ends when you ladies have gone 12 consecutive months without a period. Now you're in postmenopausal. This is when estrogen and progesterone levels remain low, right? They're not optimized. They're not even normal. Symptoms like hot flashes may persist, but sometimes they lessen over time. Sometimes they don't. And then you experience the health risks, such as osteoporosis. Your heart disease rate goes up. Your weight gain increases. And also cognitive disease risks increase as well, too. So it's a big deal, right? Now, a lot of providers will talk about, well, there's risks and, we don't want to recommend it because it can cause cancer. None of that is true. The research has borne that out to be not true. I have volumes of research that shows that. In fact, it shows just the opposite. But let me deal with some of the potential side effects. They're somewhat limited, but they're there. Some women, when they start testosterone therapy, may notice some increase in acne, especially the first month or so, but that can be adjusted by adjusting dosage. Some women notice an increase in hair growth. Um, Again, could be adjusted. It's usually a short-term thing. But what I want you to really know and understand here, there are testosterone formulations that are what's called bioidentical. Bioidentical means they are plant-based products that are 98% identical to the hormones that exist in your own body. So it's a natural form of testosterone replacement. It's not synthetic, right? There's 6 different forms of testosterone replacement. I'll cover those at the end here, but there's only one bioidentical form. So what I encourage you, if you seek out a provider, either our clinic, Revitalizing Health and Hormones, or any other provider in your area, if you're not in the Western Wisconsin area, is to find someone who takes an individualized approach. This will be a properly trained healthcare provider who adopts an individualized, comprehensive approach specifically for you, which allows us or allows them to assess you based on your symptoms, your medical history, your current and past, and your familial, and then also the risks associated potentially before considering any type of therapy. This personalized approach is really specifically designed to help balance the benefit risk ratio as to allow you to experience the best results based on your unique clinical needs and goals. That's the key. That's the key. Any provider you look for that's got to be the foundational piece for you to make a decision whether you will get assessed or not. Now, I will give you a website to check out if you want to learn more. It's www.revitalizinghealthwellness.com, revitalizinghealthwellness.com. Go to the contact page, put in your information, and we can start at least begin a dialogue if this is something you want to check into and look into more. Now, I am not diagnosing anybody. I am not offering specific medical advice. That can only be done in a clinical setting when tests have been properly done by a qualified provider who can look at your unique situation, then lay out a very specific, detailed plan with your specific goals in mind to help you achieve a outcome. But that can only be done under supervision of a highly qualified provider. Now, I mentioned to you there are 6 forms of testosterone replacement. The first I mentioned is the bioidentical, which are small little pellets that are inserted just underneath the skin. The nice thing about this, it maintains a steady level of hormonal release over a period of time. For women, it's about 3 to 4 months. Men, it's 5 to 6 months. So 2 to 3 times a year, you maintain the certain levels that's optimal for you as opposed to the second option, which are injections, which is a synthetic form. Some people like those, want to do those. We do that as well too. We encourage people to bioidentical for a variety of reasons. It's less messy. There's not regular injections. It's easier to manage. It's easier to maintain hormonal balance through over a period of time, but it's really unique to each individual. There are creams and gels that are used as well too. Um, some people don't like the first two options and they want to try the creams and gels. They utilize that. Some people get really good results. Some people don't get much in the way of results for a variety of different reasons. And then they move on to ultimately going into the bioidentical hormones. And then there's an oral version as well too. But honestly, it may not be as effective as you think it would be because anything that has to pass through the gut and liver alters and changes. It's very, very difficult to regulate optimal levels with hormone replacement using an oral administered tablet. So again, it has its place for some people, but clearly what we have seen, the bioidentical is the best form for most individuals. Now, as I wrap this up, I really want to emphasize here is what most people are experiencing is typical but not normal. And the fact is, virtually everyone's feeling the same way. It's like, oh, this is just the way it is. And to the end, and to respond to that is, no, it's not, and it doesn't have to be. I've been on bioidentical hormones now for almost 3 years. I'm 61. I got more lean muscle than I've ever had in my life. Now I work out. I bust my ass. I work hard, right? I maintain a very lean body weight. Part of that is through my diet. Part of it is by my optimizing my testosterone levels. I'm able to do virtually everything I was able to do 30 years ago. I'm not as fast as I was when I'm doing plyo or explosive type of exercises, but there's very little in a way that I can't do that I used to do. Now, why me and why not someone else 61? Am I born with any specific or special genetics? The answer is no, man. If you see my family, you would know I'm not born with special genetics. Love them, but let's just say in the Italian family, we tend to be a little plump. Um, and so, with the right strategies, with the right assessments, with the right approach, and with the right lifestyles, you can live a really healthy, energetic, vitalistic, fully abundant, fully functional, mentally, physically, spiritually, and sexually as long as you want. We now have the technology to do so, and it's only going to get better. I'm going to come to you guys probably in a few weeks. I'm going to do a show on peptides, which is the next step in the cutting edge in anti-aging medicine. And it's really exciting what it's doing. We've already started implementing it, and the results we're seeing is nothing short of just incredible. So I want to continue to deliver this content to you because I believe you guys listen to this show because you really do want to live your best life. Because otherwise, you can go somewhere else. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. And I'm going to continue to deliver this information. And look, it's not about me. It's not about my clinic. There are lots of places around the country that have been doing this for quite some time. This is the fastest growing industry in healthcare, bar none. It's expected to triple over the next 10 years. Why? Because it works. Because it gives people their life back, their hope, gives people their zest, their purpose, their passion. And this is the Power, Passion, Prosperity podcast, Triple P Life. And if I didn't share this with you, I would not be fulfilling my duty and obligation to you guys. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Listen, reach out to me, email me, Dr. J at Triple P Life. You have questions, you want to learn more, go to revitalizinghealthandwellness.com, go to the contact page, put your information in. One of our team will reach out to you. Just have a conversation, learn more. And if you're not in our area, we can maybe help you find someone in your area if you want to pursue this further. But don't sit back and be reactive, right? Somebody who's pursuing their Triple P life, Triple P Nation, we are proactive. We go get it. We don't wait for it to happen. We make it happen. Go make your best life. Make it happen. Live your triple P life. Live it now. So as I always say, guys, you be you. Just be the best you. And I promise you will always empower your dreams, ignite your passion, and accelerate your prosperity. Until next week, guys, be well.